Okay, well, let's go ahead and get started here today. So, as you're realizing, I think this room is a fire hazard, right? You're climbing over one another. Wait till test day. It's going to be bad, right? You're going to be like testing, people crawling over you and everything. So, okay, well, it'll work. So, three things that I want to accomplish today. The first one is I want to introduce myself to you, and hopefully you can introduce yourself to me at some point in time this semester. I really am convicted that the best learning environments are one in which a student and an instructor are connected with one another. They know each other, they trust each other, and so I'm going to spend a little bit of time today telling you about myself. And I would hopefully, at the very minimum, at least get to know all of your names, and maybe a little bit about yourself as well. So that'll be objective number one. Objective number two, of course, is to go through the syllabus, and so we'll do that. I'll introduce you to the class, kind of the structure of it, and then objective number three, we'll go ahead and start some material today. I think we'll get through those introductions in enough time to get into some material. Okay. So let's go ahead and start with an introduction to myself. I think a name is a really good place to start. So my name is Aaron Shoulders, as it says on the syllabus. All right, and I'll deal with this straight away because I know that this is something that students think about, and that is, well, so he's introducing himself as Aaron Shoulders. His name says Aaron Shoulders on the syllabus. Do I call him Aaron? Do I call him Shoulders? Do I call him Dr. Shoulders? What do I call him? Right, and there's that kind of apprehension to the whole thing. So you can refer to me as Professor or Dr. Shoulders. I'm qualified to be referred to as Dr. Shoulders. I'm not a doctor that can help you in a medical emergency, though. So don't look to me if something happens, right, in this class. I have a PhD. I got my PhD in biochemistry, which is good for us all, right? Because this is a biochemistry class, comprehensive biochemistry 2 or metabolism. So that's a good thing. I got my PhD at CSU in 2006. And was really fortunate to just walk into a faculty position, which is pretty rare. It was just the way the stars lined up for me. And I've been here ever since. I do a lot in our department, primarily with undergraduate education. I teach several classes. I do a lot of undergraduate advising. I set curriculum direction and that kind of thing in the department. So many of you may have interfaced with me in just some advising role. Okay. In fact, I recognize many of your faces. Okay. I think most of you I haven't yet instructed yet. Some of you I have in comprehensive biochemistry lab, but most of you not in that fashion. All right. So anyway, Dr. Shoulders works. I've been convincing those students for a long time that I should be referred to as Captain America. I'm really fond of that. I think that it works. It feels good for me. I don't know how it feels for you, but maybe a little bit strange, but that's okay. We'll get past it. If you press through, Captain America is great. Cap is fine. Either one of those works. I'm fine with that. My wife, she calls me babe and sweets. That's not for any of you, right? So there are boundaries that I have to set in a classroom, and that's one of them. Okay, so I won't answer to babe or sweets from any of you people. Okay, I'm sorry. That's just the way it goes. So I don't get too hung up on titles, I guess. You can call me Aaron too. So I think that, honestly, people are kind of usually in between. They're like, I don't know, Captain America seems a little bit too strange, a little bit pressing the edge. Aaron's too informal. I'll just call him Shoulders. Let's just call him Shoulders. I'm good with that. Or Dr. S or something like that. So I'm good with all of it. Okay, that's fine. Hey, you works in a pinch. Okay, some of you in an exam situation be like, oh my gosh, I can't even remember his name. Hey, you. That's fine. It works. That'll work. Okay, I won't hold it against you. Okay, So we are now we're just past the handshake area, right? I've just shaken your hand and I've told you my name. That doesn't really tell you anything about myself. It was a long handshake though, right? I mean, it took a little bit longer than most of them. It's like, yeah, he's shaking too long, right? That kind of a thing. But so we're at that point. So what else about myself? Let me step into a little bit more serious aspect of me. If I were to die today, all right, so I know, right? If I were to die, I don't have plans to die today. That's not in the plan. I don't think usually people have plans. Today's the day I'm going to die, okay? Unless they're just super organized people, right? Okay, never mind. Anyway, but if I was to die today, what would I want anyone who is interacting with me on a significant basis to remember me for? And there are several things. I think, though, first and foremost, right at the very top of the list, I would want everyone to remember me as a Christian, first and foremost. I am a disciple of Jesus Christ. I love him dearly. I consider him my Lord, my Savior, my King, my Creator, and my friend. Okay, so I love him. I'm deeply convinced of the central tenets of the Christian faith. I believe that there is a God, that he created in perfection, but we as men and mankind have rebelled against him, producing sin and the totality of human and animal suffering. But he is a loving God, loves us very much, and wants us to save us from that predicament. And his son, Jesus Christ, is the cornerstone of that salvation plan. So right at the very center of my being is those convictions. And I'm convicted of those things for very personal reasons, obviously. But I see evidence for those claims too in history and theology and philosophy and even science. Okay, so that's a lot of who I am. Right now, there are also 3 people in this planet that are going to remember me as dad. So here's another aspect of my life. So this is my family. I have 3 boys. And the reason I have 3 boys is because we didn't want 4. So that's why we have 3. We just said, okay, we got to stop at this point in time. So what you are looking at here, this is a picture that was actually taken really recently, this past Christmas, up in Beaver Meadows. This here, though, that's Simon, 10 years old, the middle of his 5th grade year. Troublemaker. In a good way. I mean, he's good. He's a funny kid, lots of fun. All of them are funny in their own ways. So different, though, each of them. So Ian here, this is my 15-year-old. He's in the middle of his freshman year at Poudre High School. And then, this guy over here thinks he's at the top of the world. He's in the middle of his junior year at Poudre High School. He thinks he's at, academic. The top, and some of you are smirking because you recognize that that's a ridiculous thought. But anyway, that's where he is. He's 17, and he goes to Poudre High School as well. And then, at the risk of offending some people here, this is the most beautiful woman in the universe, right? So that's my wife. I married my best friend. Her name is Becky. I think she's wonderful, and I could tell you a lot about her, but I'll stop right there, okay? I won't keep embarrassing myself. But anyway, she's wonderful. So that's my family, and we have a lot of fun with those guys. Other things, Okay, so I'm a sports fan. Okay, so Captain America is one of the things I go by. I had a student call me Captain America Geek Man last year because I also have a fantasy baseball team that I go by the Geek in that environment. The Geek. Okay, so and I took first place in my fantasy baseball, just so you know, last year. So I'm very impressed with that. Good job. So way to go. So I'm looking forward to defend my crown. It's the most ridiculous thing ever. My wife says that to me on a daily basis. She's like, you're not managing that team. You know that. You realize that. And I go, yes, but it's fun. Okay. So I'm a baseball fan. I really enjoy baseball. And I have had in many years, the unfortunate pleasure of being a Rockies fan since 1993. I'm looking forward to the Rockies. Hopefully they have another improbable run to the playoffs this year, and don't lose Nolan Arenado at the end of it. So, but that's just out of my control. So, I'm a Rockies fan, baseball fan. Football, I watch football, and here I'll be honest. Okay, I'm actually very disappointed that the New England Patriots are in the Super Bowl once again. Okay, so some of you are, I gotcha. And if you're not one of those people, you're like, no, that's the greatest thing ever, like 8 straight years or something like that. Just come and see me. I've got some special assignments for you this year. Nearly impossible assignments, but you'll get through them. They're all due on Super Bowl Sunday. Okay. Anyway, so I don't know. I could say more, but I'll stop there. So that's my handshake. That's who I am. So hopefully I get to know a little bit about you guys. I'm going to try hard to get to know your names. I tried to devise or think of ways I could do that. It's difficult. I'll figure it out. So I was going to have you put like little name things up on your desks, but that doesn't work in this room. You have hardly any room to put anything on your desk, so I'm not going to put something on your desk, okay? So when you come up to me, introduce yourself, and I'll try and remember your name after like the 3rd time. Okay. All right. So moving now into just an introduction to the class. So here's the important information here: name, email, office hours. Office hours will be held on Mondays right after this class. I put 3:15ish because we end here at 2:50. Okay. You can just come up to me if you want to attend those office hours. You don't have a class after this, come up with me and walk all the way back over to the MRB building with me. It'll take like 10 minutes, 15 minutes. You can get probably most of your questions answered in that time and peel off in time for coffee somewhere. All right, so, but anyway, I'm in MRB 231. Hopefully most of you know where that is. I probably will make an announcement in the next several weeks that I've moved my office. Okay, so the Department of Biochemistry has got some new space in AZ, was recently remodeled, and we're going to move me over there along with some of the other professors. So I'll keep you updated on that. But for now, I'm in MRB 231. This is really good. This is good stuff here. We've got 3 TAs in this class. 2 of them are undergraduates. They've taken this class. Actually, they took it last year. Zach. Raise your hand. Ben, raise your hand. Those are my undergraduate TAs. And then Zach, okay, my graduate TA. So these 3 are going to be great resources for you throughout the semester. I'm going to meet with them on a weekly basis. We're going to talk about activities and objectives of the review sessions that they're going to be running on a weekly basis. Okay, we don't have yet a schedule ironed out for those review sessions, not because of them, but because of me. I just need to put it all together. So I'll be making announcements of those review sessions coming up. I can't remember how many there are, but in Canvas, in one of the modules, I think a syllabus module, or I can't remember, it says TA recitation objectives, and it will list out the week and what that's going to be covered that week. Okay. We're not going to hold those this week. We'll start next week. Okay, those will usually be held at the end of the week. Okay, so we'll make announcements about when and where for those. Now, I will say this also. I'm prepared to give extra credit to you if you go to 70% of these. Okay, you can get credit for 1 a week. Okay, some of you are thinking I'm going to get 3 a week for the first 4 weeks and then I'm done. All right, no, that's not the way it works. Okay, only 1 a week. You can go to all 3 of them if you really want to. I don't think that any of you will, but you can if you really want to. Okay, you only get credit for 1. Okay, so those schedules will be out, I don't know, soon. Right? Questions? Any questions? Probably not. I mean, it's just names, right? Their email addresses, by the way, are in the syllabus. So is mine. Okay. By the way, email is the best way to get a hold of me. Okay. You can call me, that's fine, but email is usually going to be how I respond to things, okay? Okay, so the class, moving into some other particulars here. I'm going to give myself a red check minus here, 7th edition. I forgot to update that, okay? That's the book. It's not a required text. It's a suggested text. Lininger's Principles of Biochemistry. It's like that thick. Okay, it's big. We won't use all of it, certainly. We'll only use the metabolism section of it, which comprises about 1/3 of it. That's why I'm not requiring it of you. It's expensive text. So 7th is the newest edition. The 6th works. The 5th works. The 4th works. Okay, there are other texts that I put in the syllabus that you could use as well. Okay, so if you are a person that really wants to read and those kind of things that you need that, there are lots of really good biochemistry texts out there. I give you some suggestions for those. Okay, I'm sure that you can find one that's cheaper than this one on, Amazon or something. I will say this, in the syllabus, at the very end, you'll see a schedule. You'll see pages, assigned reading. Those are for the 7th edition. Okay, it'll be obviously different for the 6th edition. It's only slightly different. It's not that much different, but the further edition you get, the more different the page numbers are. Of course, completely other texts is I have no idea. You're on your own with that. Okay, but most biochemistry texts of this caliber are going to have very similar topics covered. Okay, all right. Objectives. I do have a list of objectives. There's a lot of them for this class. And those are going to be listed in the exam study material modules in Canvas. Okay, I would really recommend that you look at those. Okay, And that will be something I will ask the TAs to point out. That will be something I will point out. Those are things that I want to accomplish in this class, which means that I'm going to assess you on those objectives. Can you do those things? Okay, so it would be very good of you to be able to do those things before going into an exam. Okay, that's a good way to prepare, right? So that's why I do it. Okay, I'm communicating to you what I expect from you in these objectives. Okay. Now the design of the course, in terms of topics, okay, I'm going to be covering these topics. Okay, we're going to break it down at about 6 units. We'll be real quick through Unit 1. We're just going to kind of lay some foundations there. Okay, some of it we'll review, not all of it though. Certainly will be review. We'll jump into new material pretty quickly. Okay. We'll go through then carbohydrate metabolism. We'll spend quite a bit of time on that, really central to metabolism. If we understand that, we grasp that, then we'll have a better understanding of the rest of metabolism. Cellular respiration after that, lipid metabolism, and finally amino acid metabolism. Okay, we won't go through nucleotide metabolism. I don't have time usually in a class like this. I sacrifice that content for depth in the other areas. Okay, so that's just the way I'm going to do it. I will also tell you this, that this class is going to really focus on mammalian type metabolism. Okay? We're not going to mention photosynthesis in this class. That is a metabolic pathway. It's a great metabolic pathway, but won't talk about it in here because it's not a mammal. Okay? So we're going to be really applying metabolism to health. Okay, most students in the biochemistry field, not all, but most are going into or desiring to go into some sort of research or health field, all of it related to usually human health. Okay, that's where the funding is. Okay, so that's usually where people go. Right? So it'll be a great time. Lots of fun topics there. Okay, lots of metabolic pathways as well. We'll get through it. Okay, we'll get through it. Canvas, you probably checked out Canvas. All right, I put the syllabus on Canvas. There will be, there's no problem sets up there yet, but there will be. Okay, I'll post some problem sets up there. I'll be about 5 of them. There will be lecture modules. Okay, I will be walking through, kind of a presentation, PowerPoint. I put the PDFs of those up on Canvas. That way you can just print them off, use them as ways to take notes. Okay, especially on complex figures, it's really helpful. Okay, so I gave you those. Now, I also highlighted this here. I will go ahead and do this. I have put 3 recordings that I call Lecture 0. Okay, they're review recordings. The first 2 are 30 minutes long. The last one's 20 minutes long. Okay, if you tried to access them before today, they would have sent you to a broken URL. Okay, sorry. I deleted the files and forgot that I deleted them. So I've re-uploaded them. They're going to be on YouTube. Okay, you do not have to listen to them. However, quiz 1 and 2, which are due next week, will be over those. Okay, so you can take quiz 1 and 2 if you want without looking at those, and you'll get 2 opportunities to do that quiz. And if you get a 5 out of 5, then don't worry about it. You must have that material down. If you're really struggling with that, especially after the first pass, you might consider listening to those. Okay, this is material that I feel like you should have had in previous courses that I'm not willing to spend time in class talking about. Okay, but at the same time, they'll be important concepts. Okay, for this class. So listen to those. Okay, and then there will be some exam study materials, of course, given to you. I have practice exams and the learning objectives. Okay. All right, assignments. Right, very important. Quizzes, 13 of them at 5 points each. I'm going to give you 2 opportunities to take those on Canvas. I will take your highest score. Okay? All right. And due dates for those I will be announcing. Okay? A lot of times the due date's a moving target because it's dependent on where we are in the material. And so that can be a moving target. So I will keep you abreast on those things. Okay? I have ideas about what they are, but they're not solid yet. Okay, problem sets, 5 of them at 10 points each. Okay, a total of 50 points. I'll be handing those out or posting them and telling you about them, and then I'll give you usually about a week to complete those. Okay, hand those in, and then we'll grade them. Those are written type of things. Okay, 4 exams, 90 points each. Okay. And then finally, group work assignments. There will be 5 days where you'll be coming in. I'll keep you up to date on this. You'll be coming in, working in groups of 3, and essentially charting out metabolic pathways that we're about to cover. Okay, so that's how I'm going to cover pathways. Instead of me standing up here and saying, and glucose is converted to glucose 6-phosphate by the enzyme hexokinase. Next, right? I'm not going to do that. It's really dry and boring and really not fun for you guys. But you have to go through metabolic pathways. So I'm going to put worksheets in your hand and say, draw out this metabolic pathway, and I'll give you questions and stuff like that. You'll work in groups. So that's how we'll cover it. Okay? All right. And then we'll talk about topics related to those pathways after that. All right. Now, final thing here, YouTube. You notice I have a mic. Okay, that's not for an amplification in this room. But I will record every single lecture I give, and then I will post them to YouTube. Okay, I used to post them in some other file that you could access on Canvas, and students are like, YouTube's better. I don't know why. I mean, anyway, so YouTube's better, so I will upload them. I will put the link, though, to those YouTube files in Canvas. Okay, so you can access them through Canvas. Okay. Usually I'll try and get them up day of or day after. Okay, that's what we'll do. Now, having said that, I want to be careful with this. There are times, right, where this whole thing will fail. Everything will shut down, and at that point in time, I've lost the recording. I can't recover it, okay? And so if you didn't make class that day, I'm still going to hold you accountable for the material, even if I can't post a recording, okay? Group work days, no recording, obviously. You need to be here, required, okay? Exams, oddly enough, you have to be here for exams, okay? It's hard to take an exam when you're not here. Right? Captain Obvious, some of you are thinking. Not Captain America, Captain Obvious. I got you. Questions? No? There's more details in the syllabus. Look through those, okay? Probably the final thing to mention here are grades. The grading scheme is pretty typical. Some of you are wondering, is it going to curve the class already? You're already thinking the curve. I need the curve. I need to know already, okay? I have no idea if I'm going to curve the class. I didn't curve the class last year, okay? 2 years ago, I curved it, all right? So it really depends on how people are doing, okay? But last year didn't justify a curve. Actually, the year before that didn't justify a curve. The first year the high in this class was an 89%. I curved that one. Okay, so, but I've adjusted, so, and students have adjusted as well. Total point value that you're going to be taking that percentage out is 525 points. Okay. Now, some of you are studying that and saying, I see A+, I see A, but I do not see A-. You're gonna get me with the A-. You're just going to surprise me with the A-. No, I was surprised in a good fashion if I give you an A-. Okay. If you get a 90%, I will give you an A. That will not be an A-, that will be an A. Okay, I have been known and may do this semester to give an A- at like an 89.4% cutoff or something like that, where people are super close to that A, but not quite there. Okay, so that's how I'll use the minus grade system. Okay, the university does not let me give C minuses, so don't be looking for a C minus. Okay, all right. Some of you are like, yep, I'm not going to look for a C minus. That's not my goal in this class. All right, good. All right, now, so I mentioned already this extra credit, attending TA review or recitation sessions, 70% of them. I'm also going to use something called Poll Everywhere. Okay, and where is the term? There it is, Poll Everywhere. I'll give you some samples of this in class today even. Poll Everywhere is a web-based equivalent to iClicker. iClicker is super one-dimensional for me. Right, I can ask questions that have an A, B, C, D, and E response, and that's it. That's one-dimensional. I can't really get too much in terms of what you are thinking about a particular subject. So I use something called Poll Everywhere that allows you to use these wonderful things that we call phones. Okay, so I'm going to encourage you to bring your phone to class. Okay, and they have an app. Poll Everywhere has an app. You can download that app. It's for Android and iPhones. You download that and use it. You have to make an account with Poll Everywhere for me to track your participation. To make an account, you simply click on the link that I put in the syllabus. It'll take you there. It'll take you through the process of setting up an account. Please use the name that will be on that you'd find in Canvas, okay? First and last name. Some of you are thinking, that seems really obvious to me. Is he Captain Obvious again? Well, kind of. But there is a precedence for not using that name, oddly enough. But anyway, all right, so please use just your name so I don't have to go tracking you and finding out who exactly is Iron Man, right? I mean, if you put that as your alias. So you can put that in like parentheses, but not as the name. Okay. Anyway, yeah, so 10 points extra credit, 80% participation. You obviously have to be here to do that, okay? And I'll give you examples of that. I will not start taking track of Poll Everywhere participation until Monday. Okay, so you got a couple of days to get it set up. I'll give you some examples of how we're going to use it. And then from that point on, I trust that you know how to use it. In Canvas, there is a link to the Student's Guide to Poll Everywhere. Click on that, read through it. It's pretty straightforward, okay? It really is. Okay. All right. Questions? All right. That's objective number 2. Introduce you to the class. Now let's get to some content. Actually, let's do this. So when you see this, that means I'm going to ask you a Poll Everywhere question. I can do this right now. So let's do this right now. Okay? So I'm going to go to this. All right? Take out your phones. Some of you are saying, I don't have an account. I don't have the app. You don't need it. You can just text me the answer. Okay? All right? And I'll show you how we're going to do this. In fact, let me go ahead and unlock this. Okay? And I'll go ahead and do this. The question's a really simple one. What is your major at CSU? All right? You could text this answer to me. Okay? First of all, the number that you'll text is 22333. Text, first of all, the geek to that number. That will enroll you into the question, and then text your answer to the question. Okay? Or you can get on this at pollev.com/thegeek. The geek's me. Remember my fantasy baseball team? They were awesome. Okay? They're going to be awesome again this year. All right, so, oh good, I've already got 6 results. Okay, so I'll give you 2 minutes. And by the way, when we're having these questions, I'm going to encourage you to talk to one another. So once you give this, talk to each other about, your major, why you chose that major, and your favorite color. Blue. I don't know. I'm joking. No, seriously, you have to talk to each other, because then I feel like if I'm standing up here and you're not talking to each other, I'm like, it's really quiet. Okay. Okay, you got about 10 seconds left, so submit an answer. If you haven't done so already, you've got about 75 responses now. 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, so all right, awesome. So let's check this out. The answer, I already have a good idea of what this is going to be. Okay, for most of you, biochemistry, right? So this is a word cloud. The biggest word on the screen is the one that was most often given response. So there's a lot of biochemistry majors in this class. So let me go ahead and do this. This will be more individualistic. This is each of your responses. Okay, so neuroscience. Oh, crap. What happened? Oh, did I just delete them? Yeah, there we go. Okay. Yeah, so neuroscience is one. Biological sciences is another one. Certainly microbiology, Max Drummond microbiology and biochemistry. Okay, so you gave your name. You didn't have to, but that's good. Okay. Chemistry, biochemistry, and then right, so mostly biochemistry, okay. Obviously, this is a required course for biochemist students, okay. It's a required course for many of the neuroscience students as well. And then the others, you can fulfill requirements for this, okay? All right, so that's who you're amongst. You probably recognized each other from BC 401 the last semester, okay? All right, now, one more thing, just clerical stuff. I'm talking to a very small percentage of you, but if you're in the honors section of this class, I'll be sending out some information to you in the next day or two. I haven't quite gotten to that, okay? And we'll meet probably for the first time next week, okay? All right, the 405 section, okay? All right, awesome. So that's how we use that. Now let's get into some material, all right? So I'm just going to give an overview of this. So today, here's what we'll do. We'll talk a little bit about energy conservation, talk a little bit about catabolism and anabolism, a little bit about coordination and regulation and tissue integration and metabolism. That's about what we'll get through today. It won't take very long. It's, more introductory than anything else, okay? But here's what we're going to do. This is super fun. I mean, this right here, we got to start off with something fun, and this is how we're going to do it. So we've got to get some sound to this. Actually, I don't think you'll be able to hear it, which is too bad, because it's really quite good. Well, maybe you'll be able to hear it. Let's do this, though. I've got a YouTube video for us, okay? The giant gummy bear. 12,600 calories in one gummy bear, okay? I do not suggest eating this gummy bear in one sitting, okay? However, there's some really cool things that can happen with this gummy bear. So let's do this, and this will set us up. Can you hear it?
This is a boring old gummy bear.
Oh, it's so sad.
This is what happens when you drop it into boiling potassium chloride.
Okay, so that's a little gummy bear. I didn't go into the... yeah, see? Boiling perchlorate. You know where this is going, right? Yeah, right. That's a small one.
That was awesome. But we're VAT-19, and this is the world's largest gummy bear.
That's a big gummy bear.
So,
I highly recommend that you watch this at home. Show your, friends, show everyone. This is so... Lots of fire. Don't try this at home, okay? They're not encouraging you to do this at home. All right, so that's enough. That's enough. You've seen enough. That's super fun. That's what happens to gummy bears when you drop them into boiling perchlorate. Fire, explosion, danger. Okay, now let me ask you this. Okay, go back to these questions, not that question. Let's go to this question. Okay, how does the burning of the gummy bear differ from what is happening in your body when you eat a gummy bear? How does it differ? What do you think? Just give me some response. Just think about that. I'll give you, I'm going to give you only a minute 30 to think about that. I'll give you a little bit more time. So how does the burning of the gummy bear differ from what is happening in our bodies? All right, give a response. Think about it. Again, you're going to text this. If you already rolled in it, you should be able to just text your answer right away. Okay, think about that. Talk to your neighbor about that, and we'll go from there. Some of you are thinking, if I ate the entire gummy bear at one time, that's how my stomach would feel at the end of it. But it wouldn't be quite that bad. And we've got another question for you right after this. You might also talk to your neighbor about how is it similar, if you're into talking to your neighbor about it. About 20 seconds left. Submit an answer. All right. 4 seconds. I got about 75 responses, the same amount of responses I got last time. Let's check this out. Let's see what some people put here. Okay. Exothermic flame intensity. Spontaneity is lower. No storage of macromolecules. Breakdown sugar. It really doesn't. I hope it does. Did you see what I just saw? That was painful. That would be painful inside of you. Okay. All the energy is released quickly instead of slowly in stages. Enzymatic speed, how fast is burning? Nothing like this is going to happen in the human body. That's right. It makes a lot of calories. Okay. There's no fire. Not different, just slower. Okay. It occurs immediately while the body metabolizes gummy bear in a series of steps over time. Okay. All right. So there's a lot of responses that are like this one. This is what you should be thinking about, honestly. That energy, 12,600 calories, right? I mean, we think about that, in our culture today, we get the nutritional facts and calorie, you get this whole idea of, calories makes me cause, I gain weight with calories. Calorie is just a unit of measure for energy, right? I mean, we use kilojoules per mole typically in the sciences, and now we do, but calorie used to be what we used, okay? So when we go back to this, not that, when we go back to here, and there's this 12,600 calories represented by this enormous gummy bear, that's just the amount of energy that thing has stored in it that can be harvested by the processes in your body, or can be released when it's dropped in boiling perchloric acid, making flames. Obviously, metabolism is not going to just explode the gummy bear, okay? It's going to suck that energy out in small little steps, okay? Now, let me take one more step here and ask you one more question. This is how I'm going to use poll everywhere. I'm going to get a lot of these, okay? Was the gummy bear oxidized or reduced? What do you think? Minute 30. Was it oxidized or was it reduced? Some of you are thinking, redox. Chills of excitement up and down your spine. You thought you were going to be able to forget it, right? It doesn't go away from you, not in this class. Okay, about 20 seconds left. Submit your answer. Oxidized or reduced? Oh, I got more responses this go around. 78, 3 more responses than the last time. Okay. 4, 3, 2, almost. Okay, let's check out these results. Okay, show results. Why is it not showing results? Because I didn't press the button. All right, so most often given answer was oxidized. Okay, that's right. So let's look at some of these answers. This is fun stuff, right? I mean, you gotta be able to redoxidize. Is that what someone said? The gummy bear was reduced. All right. Save changes. Okay, oxidize. Yeah, see, this can be fun. I'm taking a risk here because, especially now, because you're like, he doesn't know who I am. I can put whatever I want. And so, but I filter some of these answers. Okay. All right. Reduced Captain Obvious. All right. All right. So most of you said oxidized. Okay. So, let's go back to here. I have a point with all this besides watching a cool video. I mean, that was fun, right? I mean, let's be honest. But here is the reaction that you were looking at. Now, the gummy bear has several components in it in terms of ingredients, but the primary one is going to be some sort of sugar, right? That's where the majority of the calories come from, carbohydrates, right? So let me just put up this sugar here, 6-carbon sugar, glucose. Okay, so if the primary sugar in the gummy bear was glucose, it's probably more like sucrose. But the math is easier with glucose. All right. Well, this is what the reactions would look like. This is a half reaction. Okay, so glucose became carbon dioxide, and a whole lot of electrons were given off in that process. It was oxidized. Boom. Combustion reaction. Okay, 24 electrons were lost in that process to something. They had to be given to something, but it was oxidized. Okay, and then what happened here, the other half reaction to this is the perchlorate was the electron acceptor, which means it was reduced. It took all those electrons and became water. Okay? Right. Now, that's what happened in the beaker. That's what happened with boiling perchlorate. Right? So what's the point of all this? Well, here's what we're going to be thinking about in some aspects of metabolism this year. We're going to be thinking about carbohydrates or some other fuel source, lipids, amino acids, okay? And we're going to think about how those can be combusted to carbon dioxide. Right? Redox reaction. They're going to be oxidized. Electrons are going to come off of that. Now, here's the thing, and this is really answering both questions. Those electrons do not go directly to oxygen. If they did, fire would be the result. Okay? Because it would have to release all that energy in one step. Now, so what happens is that those electrons are going to be passed to things like NADH, which will become one of your favorite molecules this semester. FADH2, which will also become one of your favorite molecules this semester. You know you're a geek when you have a favorite molecule. Mine happens to be ATP synthase, and my favorite organelle is the mitochondria. You can tell me what yours are later on. More information about Captain America Geek Man. Some of you thinking to yourself, I have never really thought about a favorite molecule. Well, now you have, okay? Some of you are like, I knew mine in 2nd grade. Okay, I didn't. Okay, anyway, I became a geek. I wasn't born a geek. All right, anyway, lots of work. All right, now, so electrons are passed to these NADH and FADH2 molecules, okay? And those are going to be then passed on to oxygen. I'm ignoring stoichiometry right now, by the way, if you hadn't noticed, okay? Passed on to oxygen, making water. That process that we see here, okay, is going to be called the electron transport chain, okay? And in this entire process, a whole lot of energy is going to be sucked out and stored in this molecule ATP, okay? All that fire, all that 12,600 calories is going to be sucked into ATP or heat, okay? You certainly won't get 12,600 calories of ATP made. You're going to lose some. Okay? Second law of thermodynamics dictates that we have to lose some, but much of it is going to be stored in this ATP molecule. And then, of course, ATP is going to go on and do super cool stuff, right? Okay, and I talk about, in one of those review recordings, I talk about the importance of ATP, how ATP is used in the cell, and that kind of thing. Here's what I want to avoid in this class. A depiction of ATP like this, the fire molecule. Right? How many of you have seen that? You know what I'm talking about, right? In textbooks, they draw this little fire ball around ATP, and it's this magical molecule that does great things when it's hydrolyzed. Okay? Ignoring the organic chemistry of nucleophilic substitution and the transfer of a phosphoryl group to one thing, and that's how energy is transferred, through covalent bonds and that kind of wonderful stuff. We take all the fun out of the fire, though, when you say it like that, right? I mean, but that's really what we should be thinking about in this class, okay? All right. Isn't this fun? We have 5 more minutes of this wonderful stuff. Questions? Yes, you can buy that gummy bear. I don't know where, but I know you can buy it. I mean, there's got to be a market for it, right? All right, now, well, this is essentially what I just said in a nice diagram, okay? So let's look at this. Glucose, amino acids, fatty acids, being broken down through these pathways, okay? Electrons being sucked off, put on these molecules NADH, and these kind of things. Metabolism is going to funnel into a molecule called acetyl-CoA, okay? Not all metabolism, but we're talking about breakdown pathways. It's going to funnel into this molecule, acetyl-CoA. Acetyl-CoA is going to feed this wonderful, wonderful pathway called the citric acid cycle, Krebs cycle, TCA cycle, Those are all the same name or same thing, okay? More electrons are going to get sucked off, and then all those electrons, right? Here, 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 those are all going to be put into the electron transport chain, ATP synthase, and then ATP is going to be made. Small amount of what we call substrate level phosphorylation in those events. We'll be talking about all those things. All of this is going to be covered this semester. We'll put details to the arrows. And we'll put it in its correct biological context. We'll put it in the correct location in the cell. We'll talk about its regulation. We'll talk about its integration. We'll talk about, we'll just keep going. It's going to be super fun. Okay? And that's the equation. If you're to think about this as just glucose, okay, that's carbohydrate combustion. All right, now, let's do this. Let's define some things here. We've got a couple more minutes, so we'll finish here in just a second, okay? First of all, I mentioned pathways. I think you probably all have some sense of what a metabolic pathway is, but let's just make sure that we're all on the same page with what we mean by this. Okay, a metabolic pathway is just this. It's a set of contiguous enzymatically catalyzed reactions with defined starting and ending points. That's what we mean by a metabolic pathway. Glycolysis starts at glucose, it ends at pyruvate. There are 10 enzymatically catalyzed steps in between, and they go in sequence, okay? And they rely on one another. They have to have one another to continue the metabolic pathway. There's lots of metabolic pathways in the cell. We'll look at a figure, I don't know if we'll get to it today, but we'll look at it on Friday and see how many there are, okay? That's what we mean by that, though, okay? Enzymes are, I mean, you can't really say too much about enzymes. I mean, they're so important to this whole process. The majority of molecules that you find in your body are extremely stable molecules, kinetically stable. They will not break down. It will take hundreds and hundreds and thousands of years to break down glucose to carbon dioxide and water without an enzyme. It happens within minutes to seconds in your cells, okay? Because of enzymes. All right, now, pathways, okay? Catabolism and anabolism, okay? Just to make sure we're all on the same page with this. This is a probably review for some of you if you've covered metabolism in any other your other classes. Okay, catabolism is really essentially this degradation of molecules, nutrients, macromolecules, proteins, lipids, carbohydrates. Okay, nucleic acids, but we don't really break down nucleic acids for energy purposes. Okay, so that's not a pathway that we talk about in terms of catabolism necessarily. Right? These are typically very exergonic, and they conserve energy, okay, free energy in ATP, NADH, and ADPH. Okay, and they are quite oxidative in nature, meaning this: the nutrients oxidize like our gummy bear, oxidize. Okay. A depiction of this from that book that you have or that I suggested is shown here. Energy-containing nutrients are broken down to energy-depleted products, carbon dioxide, water, and ammonia, okay, in the case of amino acids. And energy is conserved in that process in molecules like these, ATP being central to that. Okay. Anabolism, on the other hand, state really contradictory things to what we have in catabolism. Anabolic pathways are synthesis, biosynthesis, or biogenesis of large molecules, okay? They are driven by the use of ATP, NADH, and NADPH. Meaning without those molecules, they would not go in the direction that they need to go in the cell. They have to take energy from something. These are reductive in nature, meaning the nutrients are becoming more and more reduced, or the object is becoming more reduced. Okay? Anabolism is listed over here. Start with these small molecules, amino acids, sugars, fatty acids, nitrogenous bases, and we can make then these macromolecules, polymers of those things, okay? There are pathways to make amino acids and sugars and fatty acids as well, okay? And of course it uses ATP. All right, so that's what we'll cover for today. We will come back tomorrow. We'll finish up our introduction, and then we'll get into more material. Okay.